It's a beautiful Saturday, and hopefully today the clouds are a bit clear. So we are just hoping it won't disturb as we want to trek to the stadiums today to watch the games. But anyway, welcome to Off the Pitch. I'm your host Amos, aka Amore, and I'm not alone on set. I'm joined by one Augustine. Augustine, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Amos. It's always a pleasure to be here. We return all the glory and honor to the Most High God. And good morning to our viewers out there. It's been an eventful week, very, very positive, and moment of madness at Hero Stadium by Salulani Piri. I think that was he lost his head. Salulani Piri really lost his head. We are waiting to see what the disciplinary committee will do with Salulani Piri, but that's not acceptable at this level of football.
We are just hoping what is supposed to be done will be done, Augustine, because I saw some posts floating on social media saying welcome to TP Mazembe.
Yeah, because TP Mazembe seems to be welcoming these boys, but I do not think Salulani's punishment will be as big as Ngonga. We wait to see, because now what's happening is that there is a report from the match commissioner, there is a report from the referees, and the disciplinary committee will look at the evidence that will be presented to them. Then they will look into their rule book to see what punishment they should give Salulani Piri. But it's going to be very, very interesting.
Anyway, hopefully to get that result from the disciplinary committee, and we see what punishment will be given. But for now, we'll just take a very short break and we'll be right back.
Living in a wonderful country full of opportunities for investment in property. Make sure your investment is guaranteed. Are you in the process of buying or selling land or properties? Don't waste your time and money. Contact SGK Property Company on 0966 610755 or 0762 166018. SGK, a company that will conduct due diligence for you before you purchase any property. Go for a tried and tested genuine company in Zambia. SGK Property Consultants.
Good news, the rains have started. You need to plan your future. Generation Wealth is the way to go. Has grafted avocado plants fruiting within 2 to 3 years for sale at only 90 kwacha each, and ordinary avocados at only 45 kwacha each. Contact us on 0979 753010 or 0962 965 883. We are open from 8 hours to 17 hours, Monday to Friday, at Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill, opposite Hilltop Hospital.
it's good to have Angorapson joining us on set. Angorapson, welcome.
Thank you very much, and it's always a pleasure to be here. And to our dear viewers, it's good to be back on Saturday morning. It's a very bright Saturday morning, and I hope the weather will be good enough to have us watch the games that we do the best every weekend, week in, week out. We come to discuss nothing but the best of Zambian football.
And it's good that Angorapson is back in the studio. What crisis in Charleston? Is there any crisis in Charleston?
No.
Back-to-back victories in Charleston. And one thing I've realized, Amos, is that this studio has just become too small for me and Angorapson because I do not want to be sitting close to teams that can't win football matches. I think it's high time he joins Isaac in the transmission room because they've got something in common.
No,
you draw better than an HB pencil.
For now, I agree with you. But you know, sometimes it's good to accept defeat. When your team is not doing fine, you accept and you move on. But this afternoon, I think the bankers will do you justice.
So you're even wearing Zanago to humiliate me, but what will happen is that you'll be humiliated at Nkoloma Stadium.
It won't be new. I'm used. Look at how my radio so it's something that is normal.
A certain team in Osagire.
In fact, when a certain team wins, it's a shock. You get shocked.
And this is on it won't be a shock because you see Chelsea being relegated and Ghana Football Club.
No, that's Isaac for Chelsea.
Yeah, so you have to be working with Isaac now.
Oh, yeah.
At hand in hand with Isaac.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
because you've got that in common.
Isaac, and whatever you've done to Augustine Isaac, you need to apologize because look at where we are now. We are being accused of being the non-entities in the Zambia League. But I'm sure this afternoon's games will be very, very interesting to see how we fare and come back to the winning mentality that we have always been known for. So it will be very, very nice to see how the bankers fare. They have a short trip into Charleston, probably 10-12 kilometers from where their home is, and to go and beat the boys back in their backyard would be a very big blessing for the bankers.
But let's look at the Zanaco Angorapson that will be playing without Sarulani Piri. And before maybe you joined us on
Don't
set,
say
Augustine. Hey.
They're really indisciplined.
Before you joined us on set, Augustine was just commenting. We are waiting to see what measures are going to be taken against him.
Well, I think the biggest thing there is taking ownership, the apology that he has provided, and the one that he has given to the public and to Faz and the referee himself speaks a lot of volumes. It's a rare thing to see a player owning up, taking that responsibility, because even us as human beings, we are programmed to get to a stage where
You just
an
lose
apology becomes very rare. It's very difficult for a man to own up and say, I made a mistake. So to see Sarulani getting that opportunity to apologize to the referee that he touched, to the player, to Faz itself, and to all of us, the fans, I think it's a very big step in the disciplinary committee's decision, because the other guy was very arrogant. He never apologized. He moved on with his life. And, I think even for the powers that are vested in the disciplinary committee, of course they'll look at the standing statutes. What do they say about a player who does this? They'll look at all those things, but there is always a part where the humanitarian aspect comes in. So probably he will have a lesser punishment than the other one. I think so. He will have a lesser punishment than the other one because his history speaks volumes as well, because this is a player who's had a very good record when it comes to discipline. And to get to a stage like that, probably he was lost in the forest like this team in Charleston went through that phase where they played 6 games without winning anything. So probably even him, he was going through some phase and he needed to just vent his anger to come out of that shell and become a normal Sarulani Piri that I think you know. Because me, I don't know him to be like that. And, I was very disappointed to watch him do that at Heroes Stadium last weekend.
No, hopefully certain measures will be taken and it won't happen, because certain things maybe are meant to be done as examples so that other players shouldn't repeat it.
Deterrent, yeah, of course. Precedence has been set a couple of years back. We've seen a lot of players being punished for that, and of course a direct comparison with what happens in Europe is also a different story, if you ask me. So it's a very, very difficult circumstance where Sarulani finds himself in, but this afternoon's his presence will probably be very missed because they are facing a very, very resurgent Red Arrows who have resurrected from their slumber. They've been in the doldrums of losses, and now they've recovered. They're back to their winning ways. They dispatched What is this team in dollar?
Beautiful.
This team in dollar that has
Beautiful.
that Nkana beat. Oh yes. They also followed what Nkana did to that small team. So they beat Bitcoin by a lone goal to 0. I think last weekend they were by 2 goals to 1 last weekend, and this weekend they get into the match without Sarulan Piri. Of course, I saw Shitemo. She's back in the squad. Probably
your favorite.
That player. I've got a long history for that player, and I think he should continue searching for his talent.
Yeah.
I'm not very sure if he's
a footballer.
You're not convinced?
No, not at all.
Looking at the Sarulan issue, the way the disciplinary committee and the way FAS do their punishments and such, and I think there should be a period of time where a decision has to be made. Sometimes some decisions take very, very long, which frustrates the general public. I think Power Dynamos this season, they haven't played with fans, I think, for 4 games. They were punished. Same applied to Nchanga Rangers. But what happened to Chambishi? Because Chambishi Red Arrows, the game was abandoned at 4-3.
It's still pending.
But for how long? I think that's the biggest question.
Justice delayed.
I think that's the biggest problem. Nchanga Rangers, they took action quickly. Power Dynamos, they took action quickly. Chambishi, I think it happened even the last time Red Arrows went to Chambishi.
If the decision was done in good time, probably the Chambishi Nkana game, Nkana would have
won.
Yeah.
They would have been playing at the empty stadium. Exactly. So I think the biggest problem is that we're just taking too long to try and make decisions on certain issues. Because Chambishi is not the first time. Red Arrows went to Chambishi last season. Red Arrows was leading 1-0. Then they scored the second goal. And then there was probably some confusion with the fans throwing some objects onto the field. And then the game was stopped for about 10 minutes. Then it resumed. There was no punishment for Chambishi. This time around, Chambishi did the same things again against Red Arrows. The game was abandoned. Red Arrows won it by 3 goals to 0. Why don't we have a punishment by now? I think that's my biggest concern.
Anyway, away from that, I think last week we spoke of the friendly games that the under-20 were playing, and we saw it to be of a different magnitude, and we saw them producing another loss to the Senegalese. But going forward, we are supposed to play 2 more friendlies. That's with Uganda and South Sudan, and we'll see a different result.
Of course. and the story will be, we were building from the Nigerian loss. We did better against Senegal. We were reducing on the losses, on the number of goals that we are conceding. So we keep on reducing. So probably the next game, the best result will be a draw. And then we win the last one. Then you say it's progress. The team is making progress. It's likely to be understood in that particular manner. It was very, very disappointing for me to lose against a team like Senegal. The loss against Nigeria, it's a learning point. We are still learning. The boys continue learning. They are trying to gain as much as experience as much as they can before the tournament kicks off. But to lose against Senegal, really, after losing against Nigeria, gives me a lot of questions. Probably the combination of the players in the squad, I really don't understand. But these are games that we don't watch. Mm-hmm. These are games that if you want to watch, you get a link, you watch, it's breaking. It's very, very difficult to see the type of formation the players are applying. Away from the actual report that we normally get, the match report where you see how the performance of the teams, where the statistics and all that. But the result, on the other hand, it's better to lose friendlies than losing at the tournament.
Yeah, I think just to pick it up from Ankorapson, the first friendly against Nigeria exposed us. We looked a team like we are negative transition. I think we are not responding very well to that. That's why we are conceding a lot of goals. And leading up to the Senegalese game, I think there were 9 changes that were made by Chisimbewe. So you would have expected a different approach to the game. 9 new players. I think most of the regulars started on the bench. They maintained the 2 centre halves in Gift Mpande and Happy Siku. We conceded in the first minute. I think that's worrisome. If you concede a goal as early as in the first 60 seconds, concentration levels were not there. So it's something which now the coaches will try to be picking up as we are heading towards the tournament. I think to me, these results are not that bad, and then they won't have major problems when it comes to to us playing at the tournament. If you remember the Copa Queens, when they went to the Africa Cup of Nations, I think they lost 5-1 in one of the friendlies. They lost again, and then they won one game before the tournament. And what did they do at the tournament? They went and performed very well. I think these friendlies are structured to try and expose our weaknesses so that we may know where in areas where we need to work on. If you look at the way these friendlies were arranged, we started with the stronger teams so that they expose our weaknesses. We try and change tactics when you meet this lesser side like Uganda and South Sudan.
This guy is from Charleston. The coach is from Charleston. They think the same way. So he's also trying to justify why we were losing to big teams and coming like that. And now when we meet these lesser weak, the same called lesser teams, Zambia will perform.
The coach is not from Charleston. The coach is from Chilenji.
No, I'm talking about
just coach. He's coaching. He's working from
But
there.
did you stay in Charleston?
Yes, I stay in Charleston.
Where is the Red Arrows?
In Charleston.
Yeah, where is the coach's home ground?
In Charleston.
Oh, simple.
So let me try and break it down. I think when you are preparing for a tournament, there are some factors that you try and identify. Where is your strong points, where is your weak points, and the tactical aspect. So when you're playing big teams like Nigeria, it's difficult for you to try and introduce new tactics. That's why even big teams like Ghana, Zanaco, when they're preparing for games like weekend games, they will pick an academy because they won't be as competitive as probably when you pick probably a national league team. But what you want to see is that the message that you've been telling the players during the week, the tactics, to try and that's the only time you can try and test those tactics. So maybe probably that was the thinking behind the friendlies that we've had. And going forward, this will help Zambia very much because we do not want to see a scenario where you're Brazil, you win your games in the group stages and then you reach the knockout stage, you're eliminated. I think it's good that we are losing. We are learning something from them. I think speaking with the boys, they've been I think learning one or two things from these friendlies. We've got an experienced technical bench, and I believe they are working and putting their heads together so that we do well at the Africa Cup.
Your quick prediction, Augustine, on these two friendlies that we are playing?
We are beating Uganda by 3-1 and beating Sudan by 2-0. Kings Mutandwa is scoring one of the 5 goals.
And Robson, you still stick with drawing one. We are winning the last one.
Well, from my opening remarks towards that, but I told you that the excuse is in sequence. And if the sequence progresses the way it is, probably we are now more stable. To be beaten by a lone goal to nil by Senegal puts us in a position where the 9 changes that Chisimbewe made in the team against Senegal speaks a lot of volumes to me. It's a situation where you are telling all the 20-something players that you've gone with to say, guys, I believe in all of you. I want all of you to go and work and do your job. So the guys that lost to Nigeria, sit down. You guys have the same opportunity to go to show the nation that you actually deserve a place in the starting 11. Let's go in and play against Senegal. We saw them losing against Senegal. So now, where we are now is a situation where we need to pick the right combination. The team that played Nigeria and the team that played Senegal, we put them together, make that team work.
In short, no experiments.
The experiments are now done because you see, you can't make 9 changes and still talk about
experiments.
You can't. You've done that. So probably the next game will probably be a very narrow win, and the last one will be a good win. I don't see Zambia losing in any of these 2 remaining friendlies.
Let's shift our attention to the women's team, Ango Rapson. We saw we had a huge list last week, and it had to be trimmed to the 24 member squad that will play the Turkish women's, and we have the final squad which coach Bruce Mwape has selected. And maybe before I even give out the list, to my surprise, Barbara Banda is there. Barbara Banda is there. She's made the 24 member squad, but she wasn't on the previous list.
COVID restrictions, probably. I don't know what could have changed, and it's good to have her in the team. And I think for me, in all fairness, she should have just stayed away in this tournament, because it's good that she should be part of the team. It's good for these friendlies. It's good for this 4-team tournament. But I think the best thing was to allow her stay, and probably we give chance. Well, these are experiments that we are making. Of course, I know her level. These are players that I can refer to. You remember how Elijah Litana in those days, He could fly in the morning, arrive on a Saturday morning, play soccer at 15 hours. At 18 hours, he's flying back. Tomorrow on Sunday, he's playing for his team in Saudi Arabia. This is what Barbara Banda is to this women's national team. She's an established personality in the team, and it's good that she has added the depth that we needed in the team. And for me, when you look at the fixtures we have, this should be a walk in the park for Zambia national soccer team.
So you were asking at who is there?
Avel Chitundu. I don't understand how I know it's very competitive, but Avel Chitundu is one of the good players that is missing on the list. She is one of my best players that is missing on the list. The ones that are there are very good. When you look at the midfield, which is there, it's highly, very, very competitive, and it's good to see Helen Chanda making the squad, making the cut in the final squad that is participating. She's been away from the team for quite a long time, and to see her back in the team and getting that nod to say you are ahead of the rest, it's very, very good to see. And these are good preparatory games. And for me, if we don't get anything from this tournament, then the World Cup is far-fetched.
And just a quick one, let me just run through the names. We've got the goalkeepers, we've got Catherine Musonda, Eunice Sakara, Heze Onali, and on the defenders we've got Agnes Musesa, Pauline Zulu, Esther Siamfuko, Lusho Mwemba, Margaret Belemu, Martha Tembo, Esther Banda, Judith Soko, and on the midfielders we've got Helen Chanda, Evelyn Katongo, Mary Wilombe, Priska Chilufya, Irene Lungu, Misozi Zulu, and on the strikers we've got Simora Mapepa, Grace Chanda, Ochumba Lubanji, Rachel Nachula, Rachel Kundananji, Helen Mwanga, and Barbara Banda.
That's lethal. The striking force is lethal, very lethal,
and very competitive.
And for me, the player that I normally laugh but delivers is this chap from Chelsea. What's her name? Ochumba. Chelsea is producing players, and Ochumba, she's a lanky striker. You remember how if Isaac Ozier was going to mention that tall striker from Chelsea, the one
Olivier Giroud.
No, not now. The tall lanky striker, white. What's his name?
The current.
No. He's even retired. Very old. He was a player that when he's walking, you would see nothing in him. Like he doesn't even play football.
Peter Crouch.
Would you say Peter Crouch?
He's one of
because he's one of the tallest players, and when he's in the field.
Peter Crouch is still playing soccer. It's probably before you guys were born. So
What happened, Isaac?
Isaac probably has been studying history of his team. Just like I know a lot about Nkana Football Club. Even before I was born, I know quite a couple of players who were there. So Ochumba is one lanky striker. She's very tall, very slender, but very deadly. And I would want to see how the coach will select the striking force.
The combination.
It's something that is very difficult. Given a chance, I would play all those strikers in one team. Because you want to know, they're not good. And for Bruce Mwape, the only thing he needs to do, he's got the best squad in the current state, the best squad that you'd ever talk of in women's football in history. And now to have that team, all he needs to do is take away his personal relationships with these players. By what I mean by personal relationships is it's not that relationship. It's where you want to play names.
Loyalty.
Forget names, forget loyalty, forget people that you've been with for a long time. Give chance to those who are performing now. Those who are bringing results now for their clubs. I'm speaking like this passionately about Ochumba. You can't have a player. If you compare the men's league, this is the lady who has played 20 games and scored 21 goals. Now, our colleagues in the men's league, 22 games.
11 goals.
And the guy is gone. So you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
If you play players that are actually delivering results now, their form speaks volumes. Let their form speak for themselves. Let what they are delivering on the pitch now erase the history that you have about certain players. For me, if Barbara Banda hasn't been scoring, Barbara Banda hasn't been playing good football, of course. But because of the nature of the name and the brand she has built, very high chances that you can't make that decision.
Yeah.
Augustine once gave an example of Ochumba to say she just plays. It's more of the way France takes Giroud. You saw in that World Cup where he was there.
He
He didn't score any goal.
Nothing.
But he was linking up play and doing the team's work.
And you know what worked? The coach believed in him.
In Giroud.
And the guy, Didier Deschamps, kept on talking
Playing
about Giroud. Said, no, you guys don't understand what I said. France is here because of his contribution.
Yeah.
But no shot on target, 90 minutes in some games, and you begin to think, what is this striker doing on the field of play? But that's exactly what Ochumba can do, and Ochumba delivers. 21 goals in 20 games is no mean achievement, if you ask me.
And if you look at Bruce Mappe, he has got a very, very rich squad. I think for the first time we have got about more than 10 professionals in that list who are playing away from the land. Recently, Priska Chirufya just moved to Turkey and she's part of that list. You can see that there's a lot of competition and there's a lot of strength and depth in Bruce Mappe's side. But the ugly part probably about this tournament, unconfirmed reports say that Venezuela have pulled out. We are yet to know if it's confirmed or not, but probably it might lead to a point where the tournament might not go through. But we cross our fingers, but we've got a very, very good squad. If you look at the likes of Rachel Nachula, Rachel Kundananji, Helen Chanda, Priska Chirufya, Barbara Banda, Ochumba Oseke, Grace Chanda, these are all attacking players who can fill those front three or front two, whatever Bruce Mappe decides to go with. I think the area where we need numbers, probably central midfield. That's where we do not have a lot of options in central midfield, and that I was a little bit disappointed to see young Natasha Nanyangwe and Maweta being dropped. I think they could have offered something, competition in that central midfield. But all in all, Bruce Mappe, I think he's someone who was very much underrated before the Africa Cup of Nations. But now people have come to understand that he understands his players and he knows what's good for them and what formation, what system to use. And this tournament offers a very, very good platform for us to try and think out a squad, to try and try new combinations, just like Chisimbe did with the boys. Bruce Mappe can do the same. We cannot be having the same 11. We need to try and see different players that will feature. I think we were under pressure when we went to Colombia, when we had Martha Tembo and Lusho Mwemba were not part of that team, and we struggled to try and find replacement. I think we need to try and work on that, try and find different combinations, and the World Cup, it will be very, very difficult. We have to be realistic with ourselves. That group is very, very tough. I think what we can all do is that let the girls go and play with a lot of passion. They should enjoy themselves. I think they shouldn't have pressure on themselves, because in that group we are written off as underdogs. So we play very well when you do not have the pressure.
Let's look at the inclusion of Judith Soko and Esther Siamfuko by Bruce Mappe. These are they are young, if I say so. They are just 18 years. And looking at the magnitude of these games, are we seeing them having game time?
Esther is a brilliant footballer. I think if you watch her, you understand why she's been added to this team, and together with Judith Soko. These are players that are doing very, very well in our league, and Bruce Mappe is seeing that together with his selection technical team. They are seeing what these girls are doing in the league, and they will have some game time. This is a very, very good opportunity to try them at the biggest stage, to try and see how they perform. I think Esther Siamfuko was given a chance when Martha was injured at the Africa Cup of Nations. She came in as a super sub. I think she is a very good player, and we hope she grows into the player that we expect her to be.
That is a story that lies in Aaron Mwanga. You know, I was with him last weekend, and the young man speaks very passionately about women's football.
Very much.
And you know, Aaron, if you are watching, you see, last weekend I sat with him when we were watching soccer. So it was, there was some games that were taking place on a Sunday morning. So we kept on watching the NAPSA game with him, and we sat next to one another. So we were having a chat. Then the way the guys were missing, just says, Mr. Scombe, this is why I like women's football. The way these guys are playing. No passion, no interest. Come and watch the girls tomorrow. The girls play soccer. And the guy is very passionate. And to see Esther getting in that nod in the squad, I think ahead of a lot of players that have been there before. And it's good that Bruce is picking players on merit. For me, really, I've watched this lady once, and it's good. It's good that the coach is picking players on merit. That's all I can say. When it comes to the actual tournament, like Augustine mentioned, we are yet to get the confirmed fixtures if things will happen. But I think the combination of the players in the squad speaks a lot of volumes with regards to performance. And it also encourages these other players who are applying their trade locally that there's an opportunity for you to compete with professionals. There's no favor that is being given to the ladies that are playing outside Zambia. The ones that are playing local football are able to showcase their skills, and they'll still be observed and still be given a chance to represent the country.
Anyway, that's the final list. But that's not the final list that will represent us at the World Cup. So hopefully you don't get it wrong. But for now, we'll just take a very short break and we'll be right back as we come and look at the fixtures that are making it today and tomorrow in the MTN Super League.
Are you looking for a prime land where to build your dream house? There is a beautiful corner plot, 50 by 47 meters in State Road area. For viewing and purchasing of the same, call SGK Property Company on 0966 610755 or 0762 166018. Secure your future by settling in a nice and peaceful area.
Good news, good news. The rains have started. You need to plan your future. Generation Wealth is the way to go. Has grafted avocado plants fruiting within 2 to 3 years for sale at only 90 kwacha each, and ordinary avocados at only 45 kwacha each. Contact us on 0979 753010 or 0962 965 883. We are open from 8 hours to 17 hours, Monday to Friday, at Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill, opposite Hilltop Hospital.
Hello, I'm Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Cabinet Channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
We testify. We celebrate. For all you've done, Lord, we give you all the praise. Oh, we testify. We celebrate. Oh, for all you've done, Lord, we give you all the praise.
Let's take a look at some exciting games that are being played today. That's in the National Division League and the MTN Super League. But for now, let's just take a quick look at the games that are being played. That's in the FAS National Division 1. And this is the fixture for week 23. We've got today the 11th at 15 hours. We've got Kafue Eagles versus Young Buffaloes. And the game will be played at Kosa Stadium. And at 15 again, we've got Trident versus Bats. Mufulira Wanderers versus Mutondo Stars, and Zesco Malite versus City of Lusaka. Tomorrow, Sunday, we've got Mpolongo Heba versus Kongola Blades, Aguila Stars versus Lusaka Dynamos, Livingston Pirates versus Kafue Celtic, Indeni versus Jumulo, and one game has been postponed, which is Atletico versus Kitwe United. Angorapso. We'll start with, let me start with Mufulira Wanderers versus Mutondo Stars, because mostly we always say, Maita win, and it's part of you.
And you like referring that
to you, yes.
Because of...
no, because...
well, we saw Maita Mufulira Wanderers drive into the capital city last weekend, and they were humbled by Young Green Buffaloes Football Club by a lone goal to nil, and it wasn't very, very expected, if you ask me, that young Green Buffaloes would pull that kind of result against a team that is chasing promotion into the Zambian Super League. And that minor setback puts them in a very, very awkward position when you look at the game they are playing today against Mtondo Stars. Mtondo, Zedi Saileti has been fantastic with that team, and they are also chasing promotion, and a victory for them puts them in a very, very good position to get into that top 4, and it really becomes a hurdle for Maite Mufulira Wanderers, Iwine Chunguro, the first ever team that I played for, and very, 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 very interesting to see how they respond to the loss. It's also important to understand how a team that is building towards promotion into the Super League, how best can they respond to a setback they had last weekend becomes very, very cardinal in the fight against the promotion race. And Mtondo Stars will be a very, very difficult hurdle, if you ask me, but advantage Mufulira Wanderers because of their form. That setback is a reality check that puts the coach in a position where he needs to get back and psych his players to a position where they should be able to sit back and have that winning mentality in them. That mentality of champions must be built in them to just continue having that. For me, I call it a two-horse race. Of course, there are 4 teams that will qualify to the Zambian Super League, but I think Trident and Mufulira Wanderers have been very, very fantastic this season, and it will be interesting to see how the Trident boys, you know, there will be long trips, eh?
Yeah.
Imagine you are in Mazambuka like Musa, you have to go and play 4 times in Northwestern Province. All things being equal, if Lumwana Radiance is not relegated, we'll have Kansanshi, we'll have Lumwana, we'll have Trident. You need to go there 3 times in that province to go and play soccer. So all the best to Mufulira Wanderers. Not an easy game this afternoon, but we need to see how strong they are mentally to bounce back and just see how they can respond to that loss they had last weekend.
Augustine, last week we spoke highly of Bats, and they
They
acquired
know
the
Coach
services
Robert
of, and is it goes on Mtali?
And Robert Tembo delivered on the first
Of course! I was impressed!
Yes,
Very
I think
impressed.
Bats have been struggling this season. I think they started brightly. They look like a team that would
And
try
the guy is living up
push
to
for
his
those.
standard.
Yeah, I think he may just get them out of trouble. I think it's probably the coach that they needed. But traveling away to Trident, I think it's a very, very tough ask for them, because Trident are playing some good football. They came to Lusaka, played the Cafe Celtic team, and they beat them at Independence Stadium. They've got experience. They've got the likes of Justin Zulu, Lingoma, Anos Tembo. So I think you do realize that Trident are building for the Super League. Even last season when they were in the National League with Napsa Stars, we saw them play, and you could see that this is a team which is destined for greatness. They had a very, very good structure. They
No,
had
it's
a
only
plan
Cabinet
in
Stars.
place.
It's only Cabinet Stars
So
that
that
is
is born for greatness.
born for
and
greatness.
destined for
For
greatness.
greatness.
Even Trident.
No, they are struggling. That's why they're in the National League as league leaders. But clearly, you are very right. They have been very ambitious, from last season. They missed it by a whisker. This season, they've maintained the momentum they came with last season, and they probably for me, all things being equal, they've been very consistent. They
And
deserve that
former
promotion.
Nkana is the captain in John Mwangeni. You remember him, what he did?
Yes.
at the Chan?
He used to be a planger, but now he's good.
This
now.
is, I think this is the biggest problem with football when you throw players into the deep end when they are not ready. John Mwangeni wasn't ready for international football at that time, and look at what it has done to his career.
Can't you negotiate with Robert Tembo to come and help that team in Kitwe?
Yeah, I think that's what you need.
So you see, he needs to like play 6 games for Bats.
And 6 games.
When they are stable,
6 games.
he goes to Kitwe and also stabilizes the Kitwe team. Otherwise, he will be meeting him.
A quick one, another shocking team that shocked us last week, Angorapson, and you spoke of it, it's Zesco Malaiti, how they managed to flog a lot of teams and finding themselves
in the promotion race.
and today they are facing City of Lusaka.
The most inconsistent team in the last 4 years, City of Lusaka.
In fact, not even inconsistent. Inconsistent is even an understatement.
And where is the
Basopo.
one Basopo?
It's around. he pledged his wife right on air. And it will be good. I think I'll try and get hold of him.
Try to get hold of him this week.
I'll try and get hold of him.
He has to explain why the team is struggling.
He needs to come and explain. And Zesco Malite Rangers facing City of Lusaka is not going to be an easy game. It's an issue of it's a local derby for me, if you ask me.
Yeah.
It's a few kilometers away from Woodland Stadium. Zesco Malite.
But it's being played at Unilas, huh?
Yeah, because in Queensmead is closed.
Oh, yeah.
For, I think they're renovating the pitch there. So you see a lot of teams have moved to Unilas grounds. You are either at Barcelona Academy, they call it the Toyota Arena Stadium, Barca Academy. So you are either there or you go to Unilas grounds. And Unilas is way better than, including Imboila Stadium is beaten by that squad. That I can confirm.
I can confirm as well.
That pitch at Unilas grounds, the stands, the sitting arrangement.
It's better than most of the Premier League teams.
Yeah, it is.
Premier League Stadium.
Let's not take anything away from Chifuanakeni and the Unilas University of Lusaka. They've done a fantastic job. And Zesco Malite Rangers, probably they are taking advantage of that nice environment. They have been terrorizing teams from Unilas grounds, and it won't be easy for City of Lusaka. Inconsistent City of Lusaka, like Augustine has said. So it will be, for me, it will be interesting, but advantage Zesco Malite Rangers in that game. You know, they will cement their position in the top 4 this afternoon.
Away from that, let's just take a look at now what happened last week. That's in the MTN Super League. Let me just go through the results before we take a look at the games that are being played today.
Red Arrows didn't play last week. Don't talk about it.
We had Beautycon who were paralyzed.
Slow down.
We had Beautycon who was beaten. I think the results are even displayed there. We had Beautycon who was beaten by Red Arrows by 2-1.
Thank you.
And we had Chambishi who drew with Ngana
because of the disciplinary committee. They are delaying to pass
the judgment.
The verdict, yes. That's how Ngana became a victim.
And we had Green Buffaloes who managed to draw against Forest Rangers, and Kawe Warriors managed to beat Nkwazi by 3-0. Kansanshi Dynamos drew against Lumwana Radiance. Napsa Stars lost to Power Dynamos. And Changa Rangers drew with FC Muza. And Zesco United managed to beat Green Eagles by 3-0.
The game that was played on Saturday and
Sunday. Game that was played for 2 days.
A few minutes were played on Sunday morning.
And the Lazarus
37 minutes. Zesco scored 2 goals.
Lazarus, not Zesco.
Lazarus scored 2 goals.
All the way from Tanzania.
He seems to recover his form.
Under his father. Very important to mention that Chicken George has given another lease of life into Lazarus Kambole. For me, that was the biggest result of the weekend. It wasn't an easy game against Green Eagles. The previous day, it ended. It was a stalemate on Saturday. Sunday, that's when we saw those 2 goals by Lazarus Kambole, and just the belief of the coach psyching you to say, you know what, the rest of the world is looking down on you.
But I believe in you.
And you are going to do
the most interesting part is that combined Yanga and Kaizer Chiefs, he has scored more goals.
For Zesco
United in 2 games. He has scored more goals than what he did at Yanga and Kaizer Chiefs.
For years.
Augustine, you're not being fair to Lazarus, congratulations, young man, and we look forward to watching you this season. You are in fantastic form.
He might even shock us. He might beat the 11 goals.
It's possible. At the rate is going. At the rate is going.
It's very possible. That, how poor is our league? Because this guy failed to score in South Africa, but he's back here and he's scoring goals.
Well, it's probably the combination of players, the environment.
But again, I think I saw something written. I think it was on the Red Arrows page, Augustine, concerning, is it Shibabwa?
Yes, Trezo.
He failed to find his feet
at TP.
Is it Seku?
Yes,
and then now people were trying to. It's more of a justification to say, meaning any player that comes from Zambia fails to perform there.
No. The problem is he came from Charleston. I'm just joking.
You
see, again, Trezo, he left the country at the peak of his career. Very good defender, I must confess. Very, very good defender. He was fantastic last season when Red Arrows
won the title.
Very, very fantastic. And when he announced his departure, I was like, okay, this is the best time to leave when everybody else is clapping for you. You have to leave and go and try your trade out there. He has failed to make the mark at Sekhukhune United there. We've even seen Tostan Sabata being sidelined now. He's now the second choice goalkeeper there, and very, very difficult place to be. When you're given an opportunity once, twice, 3 times, it speaks volumes.
Yeah.
he failed to find his feet there. He's been given opportunities to play. He has failed to find his feet there. There is Tostan Savata on the other side of the coin. Tostan Savata has been their first choice goalkeeper, conceded some silly goals. The second choice goalkeeper was given a chance. The first game, I think it was a barren draw, stalemate. The second game, he never conceded, they won. Third game, they won. Fourth game, they won. What has that done to Tosta? Sidelined.
Yeah.
Put in the corner. He's now second choice. To fight back and get that position back will be very, very difficult. So for me, it's a game of opportunities.
Yeah.
There's Trezor, probably the time that was thrown in the deep end when he left Zambia, he needed to settle down, get to a level where he's very stable to say, now I'm here, I have to change. Probably he was rushed into the games, he was given the opportunity in the beginning, but he wasn't that stable in that defense. Now he struggles to make the team. Very, very difficult situation.
And,
but I'm sure this team in Chelsea can welcome him back.
I think
you know the way they are struggling. They have that defender who just kicks balls. The one who was telling me about last year.
Just to add on Trezor, I think Trezor, even when he came at Arrows, I think he took some time to settle down. I think you remember when he came through, Bronson Chama was the preferred centre back with Elvis Bisson. I think after Bronson Chama was sidelined, was it retired? That's when now Trezor took up the mantle and started playing, and he became consistent in 2 seasons, 34 games per season. I think last season in 34 games he missed one because of suspension. The previous season again, when Rida was qualified for continental football, he played all the 34 games. So you can see Trezor is a kind of player who wants to feel important in the dressing room. When he feels that is important, the coach trusts him, he will start to perform. When he moved to Sekekume United, his debut, I think he was sent off. Then now, the coach Caetano Tembo was under pressure because the results were not going his way. And when Trezor came back from suspension, Caetano wouldn't change his team for whatever reasons. And later on, Caetano was sacked. Now a new coach comes in and he starts with the 11 which he found. So it has been very, very difficult for Trezor. But I believe with time he'll settle down and probably will break through in the Sekekume United team. And like Rodri Kawe has been very, very consistent with his performances. There are certain players, one thing I've realized. When there's competition, they do not respond very well. And there are players who respond well to competition. A good example is Manchester United's Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw, when there's competition, you get a reaction from him. When there's no competition, you relax.
You know that guy, when that Kamalasia boy was brought in to sit in that left side of the midfield, that left side of the defense.
Luke Shaw has been
performing
marvelous.
That's when it has helped him to grow.
Players need competition.
Yeah, so it depends with how these.
I think same applies to Alexander Trent-Arnold. He needs competition.
Yeah, maybe to lift up his game, but some players don't respond very well to competition. They will just look at it. Oh, this guy has come in as
Harry Maguire.
Yeah, and probably a very own person Daka.
Yeah, anyway.
We wasted money on that player.
You wasted your
even Anthony was overrated.
You are Manchester United?
Of course, very proud man. I can't even take away anything from that team. But we'll come back to it. Let's look at the local league.
Let's look at the games that are being played today. We've got Port Dynamos hosting Zesco United, and it's at the Arthur Davis Stadium. And we've got
Stadium.
We've got FC Moza versus Napsa Stars, and it's at Nakambala Stadium. We've got Forest Rangers versus Chambishi. We've got Green Eagles versus Kansanshi Dynamos, Lumana Radiance versus Kawe Warriors, Nkwazi versus Beautycon, Prison Leopards versus Green Buffaloes, and Red Arrows having a derby against Zanaco, and the games have been displayed there on the screen.
Biggest match of the weekend, Nkwazi Football Club versus Beautycon.
6-pointer. 6-pointer. I agree with Mr. Scott.
Biggest match, if you ask me.
6 points at stake.
Yeah, of course.
That game is not worth 3 points. It's worth 6 points.
It's a very, very tight fixture for both coaches, both clubs. I think Coach Oswald Mtapa needs to get out of that relegation zone. And
he needs his first win.
In the first game was a stalemate. It was a draw. He drew his first game. Last weekend he travelled to Cabo Warriors and
Augustine had the high hopes to say he's not recorded the loss away.
And you know, I had a very, very personal conversation with Oswald after the game in Cabo. He drove back the same evening, and I was privileged to meet him the same evening. the day they lost to Cabo Warriors. I spoke to him. I just wanted to understand what actually happened. And for him, in conclusion of our discussion, he just said, Rabson, that result that was in Kabwe, it didn't show the performance of Nkwazi Football Club. What Nkwazi did on the day and the result, they were on the opposite side. But if that performance is replicated against Butcon, I'm giving an advantage to Nkwazi Football Club.
Augustine.
Yeah, I think if there's a team that needs points and quickly, it's Nkwazi Football Club, because it's getting worse in that relegation zone. I think if they drift apart with the teams that is on safe land like Nkana, who are on safe land. If the gap is too big, I think it becomes very difficult. No, I want Nkana, 13 times champions. They are just above that relegation zone, and if that gap continues to grow between Nkana and Nkwazi, it becomes difficult for teams like Nkwazi to stay up. They need to try and get wins. You do second from bottom. I think that's not very, very good for the police outfit.
You know that practically we're in the relegation zone. We're sharing the same points with Chambishi.
So Chambishi do not look like they win this afternoon away to Forest Rangers. But looking at Nkwazi, the previous encounter when they played at the Levi Mwanawasa Stadium, they won this game by 3-0. Justin Shonga scored a brace in that encounter. They will win this one again at Edwin Imbwela to try and enhance their chances of surviving relegation.
Another game, Angorabson, maybe.
My game of the weekend as well, away from the tight battle of the relegation teams. I think my main focus will be Power Dynamos facing Resurgent Zesco United, and it will be played in an empty stadium. And Power Dynamos came to Lusaka last weekend and grinded the result. They needed to win that game. They needed to show leadership on the top. They needed to show the nation that it's not by fluke that they are leading the Zambian Super League, and they came here and beat Napsa Stars by a lone goal to 0.
The best team lost.
Yeah, indeed, the best team lost on the day, and Coach Perry Mtapa, that very evening, we again gathered together as usual. He's a very good friend of mine with the team manager, Chizengo, and we had a conversation around the game against Power Dynamos, and anyway, the history is history. But Power Dynamos this afternoon hosting Zesco United will not be an easy game. It will not be an easy game. We have seen the resurgent Zesco United coming out from the doldrums of inconsistency. Now they are getting into a stage where they are becoming consistent. They've laid off a couple of players. They brought in experience and the young ones. And Lazarus Kambole is yet to be seen this afternoon that he is in for business. In that 11 goals, he will surpass that 11 goals at the rate we are moving. And I know, practically speaking, all the odds are talking Power Dynamos beating Zesco United, but I think I have a different view. I am giving Zesco United an outright victory in that empty stadium.
Interesting encounter at the Arthur Davis Stadium, and one thing is that Austin Muo was a reject at Zesco United. He's moved to Power Dynamos. I think he will want to have a reject. He will want to have a
saw him play last weekend.
He will want to do
last weekend against.
He didn't do nothing.
He was on the bench and he went nothing.
But he will want to try and send a message.
He would even be given a chance.
He will want to send a message to Zesco United. I think
mind games. Maybe
I think the biggest problem with Austin is that he hasn't been given a lot of game time since his return to try and rediscover his form. And if you look at this Power Dynamo side, I think they will miss the services of Owen Tembo. Owen Tembo is picked and knocked during the week, and he's not going to play for Power Dynamo this afternoon against Zesco United. A Zesco United midfield which has got Sikombe, Kavike Kapumbu, Mukukachanda. I think it's going to be very, very difficult for Power Dynamo to only have Makwaza in that central midfield. I think he will.
And you saw what he did last week
at
Edwin Imbwela Stadium.
Yeah,
that's just, he's an average player, that boy.
So that's, I think, when he's played next to Owen, you think he's top class.
Yes, Owen does the job for him.
Yeah, so now, today, it will be a very, very difficult afternoon for him. I think Chideu, he's been brought in to score the goals. He needs to start scoring for Power Dynamos. Andy Boela started very well with an assist.
I was actually coming
I think that's very, very impressive from Power Dynamos. I think one player who I felt made the wrong move in the transfer window, I think, was Lennon Tumuma. He was better suited at Forest Rangers. I do not know why he went back to Power Dynamos. He's just not part of that plan for Munyachi people. He doesn't suit in his system. He would have been better playing for Forest Rangers, and he would have helped them to win the league title.
Andy Boele last weekend was my man of the match, and not just my man of the match. I think even the sponsors of the league actually identified him as man of the match against Napsa Stars. He single-handedly destroyed the Napsa defense. That I need to appreciate and just probably clap for him. He's a very good player, and for me, Power Dynamos made the right move to move that player from Chambishi Football Club into Power Dynamos. And Power Dynamos, what they were lacking after the departure of Kennedy has actually been closed up. The gap has been closed by bringing in Andy Boyle. But one problem I saw in that boy is the level of energy that he puts in the first half is very different from the second half.
Exactly.
Probably he runs out of energy. He needs to work on his endurance.
You might say it's because I think in the last 4 weeks he hasn't been playing any football. There was that transfer saga, probably.
Yeah,
Just due to time, Mango Rapson, just a quick one on the Red Arrows Zanaco game.
Well, Red Arrows is in top form. Zanaco Football Club is in... Oh,
Which team is it?
I was just trying to check. Well, it will be an interesting fixture this afternoon at Nkoloma Stadium, and Red Arrows has actually moved from the doldrums of losses to winning ways. They are back to winning ways. We are yet to see how consistent they are when they meet the bankers. Emmanuel Amunike was a victim last weekend. he was a victim last weekend. Saulani Berry is not part of the squad, and that game which was played at Hero Stadium had a lot of stories behind it. We saw Sunset Stadium being waterlogged. The pitch was not playable. The first story we got, the first memo we got is that the game will be played at Nkoloma Stadium. The next story we got is the game has been moved to because they can't consistently play for 2 weekends at Nkoloma, and they started, that myth of saying we always lose when we're at Nkoloma, probably to still take effect this afternoon. And for me, advantage Red Arrows Football Club this afternoon.
I think a brilliant encounter. I think it's always spicy, this Lusaka derby. The last 6 meetings between Zanaco and Red Arrows, 5 have been draws. So I think I will not be surprised if there will be a draw this afternoon in Charleston. But if you look at Zanaco, I think overly dependent on one player to get the goals, which is Abrams Yankombo. Once you close Abrams Yankombo, you close Zanaco. I think they need to try and find a way how they'll play without overly dependent on Abrams Yankombo. Amuniki has been done a pretty decent job with average Zanaco side. If you look at the quality that he has, I think it's not the quality that Zanaco has always been having. Red Arrows under pressure, playing at Nkoloma Stadium. But the positive thing that Arrows will get is that they are the only team that won the last 2 games back-to-back in the league, the entire league. So I think that's very, very positive. And just a quick roundup of the games. Prince Mumba is back for Cow Warriors.
The Prince is back.
Yeah, he's playing this afternoon when they face Lumana Radiance. Lumana Radiance last week played to a goalless draw. That derby against Kansashi, it always ends in a draw. Green Eagles, they need to wake up. They are facing Kansashi. Probably to be another draw for those teams. Dollar Hill, everyone in Dollar Hill is back. Luambo Moera should equal the tally of Kennedy Musonda this afternoon at Dollar Hill. We should get a brace and get to 11 goals. I think it's interesting to see Zambian football the way it's panning out.
Rapson, another exciting fixture that we have here, just a quick one. It's FC Muza hosting Napsa Stars.
Big one.
That's a big one, and as technical directorate of Napsa Stars, we sat down and analyzed the game as usual, and it will be very, very interesting this afternoon to see how Napsa Stars rediscovers their winning ways. Remember, they were stopped. Their 5-match unbeaten run ended when they faced Power Dynamos last weekend, and they go into a slaughterhouse. I call it a slaughterhouse at Nakambala Stadium. FC Muza has been in fine form. Surprisingly, they are sitting in that top 4 position, and they look like
the team which got a late equalizer in Chingola
against Changa Rangers.
Yes.
You see, Changa Rangers were smelling victory, and the boys never gave up. That fighting spirit in them, that championship mentality that they have, it was maintained, and we could see that for them to score that goal at the nick of time, to get that 1 point away from home, speaks a lot of volumes about the ambition of those boys and their coaches. Lamek Banda has been very, very fantastic. He's the coach for Napsa, for
Muza.
FC Muza. He's been very, very consistent with his young boys. He's got a very good blend of experience in that team. And to face Napsa Stars that had a minor setback last weekend against Power Dynamos, it will be very interesting to see what comes of there. And for me, for once, in the reverse fixture, I think Napsa Stars managed to beat FC Muza and, by 3-0. The opposite might be true this afternoon because FC Muza is in fine form, and for them to be home and facing Napsa Stars, looking at a paper that shows that they lost 3-0 in the reverse fixture, speaks a lot of volumes in what Lamek Banda's team is likely to do this afternoon. I know, in all fairness, I'm sure even Perry Mutapa wouldn't want me to say this. It will be very, very difficult for Napsa Stars this afternoon. Very difficult.
The last meeting, Napsa Stars, the last visit to Nakambala Leopards, to Nakambala Stadium in the Eden League, Chipo Sondashi scored from a free kick, which got Perry Mutapa in trouble after the comments he made. Yeah, the comments he made after the game. I think he will relish going back there. He wants to get one over Musa. And Napsa Stars, I think, probably I see a draw in this encounter. One thing about this weekend's fixtures almost is that the top 8 is meeting. You look at Musa and Napsa Stars. There's GBFC versus Prison Leopards. There's Zanaco versus Red Arrows. I think come the end of the weekend, then there's Zesco Power Dynamos. Come the end of the weekend, the table will
Ghana is playing.
The table will change very, very dramatically this weekend.
In the top
because you look at the teams in the top 10, they're meeting each other, and the mighty Ghana, 13 times champions, are hosting Changa Rangers at Chidata. I think this is a pressure game for Ghana. They need to try and start getting results. Time is running out. They do not have a savior in Alex Ngonga no more. He said we have
no pending boardroom decisions.
He saved them from the jaws of relegation the last time around. This time they will need someone to step up to take responsibility to try and save this Ghana side. When they met at Changa Stadium, the ending wasn't very, very good. But this time around, and I saying Ghana win it by 1 goal.
One thing I need to appreciate again, Prison Leopards, gentlemen. Let's give credit to Prison Leopards.
And
David Obash has rediscovered his
They are facing unpredicted green buffaloes.
He tormented last weekend. Zanaco Football Club. You see the way he played at Heroes Stadium, David Obash. I think Prison Leopards, guys, let's not write them off. They're a team that is probably gelling and bonding, preparing for next season. They will be a force to reckon with next season if they maintain their current squad. And David Obash, the way he dribbled the Ousu for that goal. You know where you get dribbled and you sit down. Not that you are making an effort. You get dribbled and you start watching how the goal is coming. Clean. Credit to Prison Leopards, and this afternoon's fixture won't be an easy thing for Prison Leopards. It will be very, very difficult, and I know you want to race against time now.
Yes. And due to time, this is where we have to come to the end of the show. And
anything in Europe,
anything in Europe. There are a lot, but anyway, time is not on our side.
We can't end the show without discussing Manchester City's problems.
Isaac has already given me a sign to say, no, guys, you are running out of time.
Ask him to give us 3 more minutes.
Isaac, Angwapson wants to parangashate a bit on the Manchester City issue. Angwapson, just a quick one.
Yeah, quick one.
Well, 9 years of doing unfair justice to the
Premier League.
Well, we are yet to see what action is going to be taken against Manchester City, but it will be interesting to see the decisions that will be made, and it probably puts Manchester United in a poor position to compete for the championship, because if points are docked away from Manchester City, I think Manchester United missed a chance to go second last weekend. They had an advantage. Leeds United, or credit to Leeds United, Augustine, in that game.
Yeah.
From the way to go, the guys were
very brave.
I think they
very brave. They really played their game. Coachless Leeds United in that game. They sacked their coach the other week. They went into that game. They had a stand-in coach. But the performance was marvelous, very, very brilliant, and Manchester United failed to take advantage of that particular game to get into second position. Manchester City, probably a boardroom decision is going to help these other teams to push themselves and get into that top 4 and fight for the Champions League position.
Anyway, that's a quick one. So we wait for this week and see if any latest news will be given in terms of the sanctions or maybe the measures that are going to be taken with Manchester City. But anyway, just a quick one. Our very own Cabinet Stars is playing today. The Division 4 are playing today, and they will be hosted. They will be traveling to Olympia Africa Ground off Kasangula Road, Chipata compound. They are playing against Garden Youth, and it's today at 15 hours. And tomorrow, Division 2 Camnet Stars is playing. Camnet Stars will be hosting Morning Stars time, and that's 15 hours. Kablonga Boys Secondary School. Hopefully you go there to support the lads. But for me, Amos, aka Amore, and the whole in that production team, not forgetting Augustine and Ankorapson and Isaac upstairs. It's bye-bye. See you next week, same time, same place. Stay glued. Amazing Katamanda is coming on your screens with a weekly gospel show.